Greetings and salutations and artisans, it is Wolfphototech, and here we are with another delightful video. This time it's Cyberpunk Red Jumpstart Kit. This is not your typical starter set. This actually sits in that weird subgenre of even more simplified version of rule set and starter sets, which is like this one and this Starfinder beginner box, where the rules are pared down and some of the mechanics are rounded away. You just don't have the range of variations in some mechanics. So when you go from this to the core system, there's a few things you have to learn extra features onto and some modifications. Where the Starfinder is like omits stamina and other mechanics. But here we go. The other thing about this Jumpstart Kit is that it is a prequel starter set to Cyberpunk Red. And what I mean by that is it's this weird subcategory of starter set where it was released before the core rules were released. So some of the stuff was not just simply pared down for this, but some of the rules were changed from this to the core rules. Not just in the sense of simplification, but also simply because they modified or updated things in the playtest from this to that. It's still perfectly usable. I have, from my research, most people don't have serious problems with it. It's just that it's not an exact one-to-one. It's like a 0.9 step before the one version of Cyberpunk Red. It is important to note that the color theme for Cyberpunk Red is obviously red, but the previous editions, the third edition, which is Cyberpunk version 3, which was neon green, and the theme color for Cyberpunk 2020 was black. When you open this up, you have pawn stands. It's always nice to have pawn stands with your games. You got 2 D10s as well as a set of D4s that are produced by Q Workshop, which is a Polish company, which incidentally, the company, I do believe, that bought out R.Talsorian and CD Projekt Red is also a Polish company as well. So there you go. The Polish are really strong with supporting their own each other's businesses. The first book is the core rule book, or the rule book for Cyberpunk Red. This book is a glue-bound back. It's actually fairly well made. You have some very basic character creation rules in here. Meet your edge runner. Cyberpunk Red is in this weird intermediate category in TTRPGs where it is a skill class system. Now, most TTRPGs are 2 types. They are of the skill-based systems, or they are in the category of the class level systems. Class level systems are basically Dungeons & Dragons, Pathfinder 2nd Edition, Starfinder, and a few others. Those are the most common ones you'll know of. Level class systems typically are more popular than class skill-based systems. The level class systems, you have a fighter or something like that you pick a specific ancestry, a class, and then various other things around that, and your character, as they go through their adventure, levels up, and all their stats go up in increments. That is a very newbie, very friendly system for a lot of people, as it gives them something to build their character around. If you're playing a barbarian or an engineer or something like that, a player knows what their role is, and players can coordinate to round out a party more easily with less experience overall. Where a skill-based system is that you get a whole bunch of stuff and you basically select between a bunch of skills. There's no leveling up. You might upgrade skills over time, but there you go. Noteworthy examples of a skill-based system is Call of Cthulhu and RuneQuest, as well as some extents Cyberpunk Red and Shadowrun. Shadowrun and Cyberpunk Red are this weird subcategory of class skill systems where they're not built around leveling up, but they're built around you have a class, you have a unique thing about your class that you can do better than everyone else, tools that facilitate you doing those things better, and a unique feature. But then there's also skills where you pick from a wide variety of skills to specifically do different things. And anyone could pick from that pile of skills. So you could have a medic that's really good at combat, and you can have a soldier who can heal people and do a lot of that stuff. But the medic has an ability that does healing better or grants them extra options in healing, where the soldier has an ability that grants them extra options in fighting. So there you go. That's the weird intermediate divide between the two. Cyberpunk Red is the life path, which is something that's similar to, say, Traveler's character creation system. It allows you to quickly and effectively assemble a backstory for your character by rolling on random tables about your back history. This is a sci-fi setting that is mostly near Earth or on Earth setting. It's not intergalactic. It's not Traveler. It's a step before Traveler. And everything is very well laid out in this book. As you can see, there's a lot of big pictures overall, and everything is clearly marked out. So it does its best to explain everything as nicely as it can. However, there are always a few holes here and there in the explanations, and it comes up from time to time. Same thing with Traveler. When you get into some systems, like skill-based systems, you're bound to run into a few quirky details, those that make it a little bit harder for you to pick up quickly. But once you get the basic structure down, it's super easy. You got pre-made characters, stats right back here. The neat thing about a skill-based system, weirdly, that a skill-based system typically only requires one character sheet, or even barely a half a character sheet. So like, here you go, you have all the core stats for a character right here. And most of the stuff about the character sheets are usually just filling in extra details around them, or giving you extra options to fill in spots. You got a book on the world of Cyberpunk in here. Same thing yet again. It's a glue bound back. It is around 51 pages. And this basically just explains the history of the cyberpunk world, the alternate history of Earth, various cultures, gangs, and other things. So you can get into the headspace of what it's like to be in this world. Yet again, it's still very well sorted out. You got some various advertisements thrown in here and there to get you in the feel for the cyberpunk universe. And there you go. As I said, this is like a 51 page, where the character rules are 44 pages. Then we happen to have, right back here, some maps for some places for Cyberpunk Red. And then we have pre-made characters. And this is what I mean by, this is the backstory right here, Racer, the Nomad. It's important to note, much like Shadowrun, a lot of characters will go by street names, because giving people your actual name is really dangerous. But here you go. That's the basic character sheet. And by the way, all these numbers are not your stats for your character. These are variants for your character stats. So if you were to roll on this D6 table here, you end up picking a different line on these stats, and then you could mark down, check, that is the second one is your stats, the fifth one is your stats, etc. And then you go down here and you fill in a few other details for your character. So that way you could actually also just copy this off and have multiple people play multiple nomads using the same sheet that's just copied, but just use a different line of stats. You got the mover, which is a solo. Solos are basically soldiers or mercenaries. You got Torch the Tech, which basically is the artificer of the group, or people who are really good at machine work. You got rockers, rocker boys, which are very good at social encounters. They're basically bards. You got fixer, which are basically also another type of bard, which is more or less focused around setting up organizations and networks and jobs. You got net runners, which are people basically are skilled at using the internet or the various technologies of transporting information and stuff like that, where the fixer or the tech is more or less person who's more mechanically inclined, like gears and stuff. You got a nice cheat sheet book right here that quickly goes over the various mechanics and explains how they work, the basic rules. And then you have the pawn sheet. I have not used this pawn sheet yet. I typically run games over Discord, and I'm going to put the car back in because the cars do fall out. But anyways, that is nice to have. It's always nice to have a few vehicles here and there. And there you go. Just one small note. Because this is sort of a proto version of the core rulebooks, there is going to be like a few points docked on the score. However, this is going to be a preliminary score. Overall, this is a really nice starter set. It's nice to have pawns. It's nice to have some dice in there. You got a world book that gets you into the culture of it. You got the rules. You got some characters. But this is going to be like a preliminary score of 3.5 or 3.25, just because you have to do some quick conversion when you go from this to the core rules, which I pull up the book. And by the way, the book is fairly chunky, but it is loaded with a lot of artwork and the style, so it gives you a good idea of what the world is like. So there you go. I would place this around like a 3.25, 3.5 range preliminary review score. I've yet to have the opportunity to run this. However, from what I've read from other people and read of the core rules and this, it's not super far off. It's just a little bit of adjustment. So there you go. I would very much like a proper starter set to come out at some point that actually has a more fully built up rules set that also explains a little bit better the progression of the classes in development and gives you a better range of the information. But this is perfectly fine. You don't have really the whole ability to make a great deal of range of characters with this. You are just limited to the basic stuff, and that's it. The very basic stuff. So there you go. Have a delightful day, a nice night, a wonderful weekend, a magnificent month, and see you next time.